Hello. Hello. Can you please comment and let me know whether I'm audible or not? Hello. Okay. Thank you, Parul. So today is Monday. I am Drushti. Let's get started again rapidly, right? Today is Monday. I am Drushti, and today we are going to cover the topics related to polity and governance, which were there in last week news, right? So this is your 23rd week of the initiative, and your today's question for your Seize the Mains initiative is, so you have to explain the difference between personal rights and religious rights. Okay. Also, whatever arguments you are giving, please support those arguments with the constitutional provisions, right? So discuss the constitutionality behind the arguments that you're giving. Now, where this topic is coming from, we're going to discuss this in when we begin our slide of the session today. So basically, when you write the answer, this answer you can write and you can submit it on our website. The link for the same, you can find it in the description box below. Now, see, when you talk about religion in India, India is not a per se dedicated country to a particular religion. We come from a background of multiple cultures, right? Multiple cultures, multiple religions, etc., etc. And from the very beginning in the constitution, it was determined that the state is not going to interfere in the religious affairs of communities, as there are n number of belief systems that are prevalent in India, be it Hinduism, Sikhism, Islam, Christianity, Jainism, Buddhism, right, and so forth and so on, right? Now, good afternoon everyone. I hope all of you have joined in timely. Now, if you see the religious domain that stands for Indians, see, your religion is your personal belief system with whatever entity you relate with, right? It might be God, it might be Allah, it might be some supreme power, or it might be naturalism. Even in case of tribals, it applies. So state ka jo basic tenet raha hai, that we are not going to interfere in the private space of an individual, and any policy of state should not be imposed on the religions and belief system or people per se, right? But there have been a few contradictions jiski wajah se this question keeps on coming up. For example, Sabrimala case, then there was the case of Haji Ali Dargah, right? So there are n number of cases where state has intervened time and again in the religious beliefs, and this has erupted a whole lot of debate that where India stands with its constitutional tenet, right? Now, you have to write the answer in what you believe in regarding this topic, submit it, and our team will evaluate it free of cost, and then you'll know where you're lacking. Also, it will help you a lot in your mains answer writing, right? So step by step we are going to get forward ahead. Now, discussing our index for today, we are going to discuss three important topics for today. First is Places of Worship Act. So Delhi Supreme Court of India has given a verdict that it is not going to intervene in any of the religious petitions that are being filed. They are not going to accept it, but there is a small catch to it. The petitions that have been filed earlier, they are willing to give them a overview. So what is Places of Worship Act, why it came in place, how the timeline has evolved, we are going to discuss that. Then there has been a issue. Delhi High Court has instructed Delhi government, they have given them a bit of time to decide their stand on intersex infants, surgeries of intersex infants, which has been going on for a while, and the Commission for Child Rights Protection has intervened in it. So we are going to discuss kya issue hai and how it is causing problems for children as well as their parents. The third very important topic is Family Courts Amendment Bill. So Amendment Bill has finally been passed by Lok Sabha. It finally amends your Family Courts Act of 1984, which was passed on 14th September 1984. And very importantly, it will impact 2 states in India, one Himachal Pradesh, one Nagaland, where already this act is in place, but it is not controlled by central government. But now central government has brought in an act, and it is going to impact, how it is going to impact all the court system, all the courts of various states, that we are going to study. Right, now let's get started. Your first topic for today is Places of Worship Act. So why it was in news? Let's discuss it. Now petitions, there were a number of petitions that were being filed which challenged Places of Worship Act 1991. And since a number of petitions are already pending, Supreme Court of India has refused to allow fresh petitions in the matter, but they are willing to look over the past petitions that have already been filed. Now, basically, this act was brought in by P.V. Narasimha Rao led Congress government when this whole Ram temple movement, Ayodhya wali, it was at its peak. See, 1992 mein, if you see this Babri Masjid whole thing happened. So, this particular law was brought in at that particular point of time. Now, this act mandates that nature of all places of worship except Ayodhya, ठीक है, the Ram Janma Bhoomi thing except Ayodhya, it shall be maintained as it was on August 15, 1947. So since independence ये पकड़ा जा रहा है, it was on August 15, 1947, and no encroachment of any such place prior to that of date can be challenged except your Ayodhya case. So एक exception रखा गया, and यहाँ से the whole debate is coming up that is it fair enough, is it unfair, and many petitions have been filed in Supreme Court. उसी के ऊपर सारा debate चल रहा है. Now in March 2021, Apex Court, as in the Supreme Court, they issued a notice on petitions which actually challenged the constitutional validity of the act. Now petition basically क्या कह रही है? It has contended that the act bars the remedy of judicial review, which is the basic component of the basic structure, doctrine, feature of the constitution. ठीक है, तो इसको question कर रहा है, and thereby it is depriving the other communities, other religions, people of other religions, whether they are Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, their right to move to the court if they feel this right is being hampered, right? If any outsider, any invader is actually causing a trouble for them regarding their religious profession, so uske upar this whole petition thing has been going on. Now in November 2019, judgment happened in your Ram Janma Bhoomi Babri Masjid case, Ayodhya case title, and 5-judge bench tha jisme Judge Chandrachud bhi the. So they made a certain observation and they supported this act. In totality, they supported this Ayodhya case pura, and at that time it was pinpointed that the constitutionality of the act is not being challenged, right? Basically, जो आपका Places of Worship Act है, Special Provisions Act है, what it says. So basically, its main agenda is to protect the liberty of faith and worship of the people. Now, objective क्या था इसका? Objective was to provide maintenance of religious character of any place of worship. Any place of worship, not any particular community, but any place of worship. See, if you see the changes that have been happening place, a while ago Nepal used to be a Hindu Rashtra. Even they have turned into democracy, they have turned into secularism. So India at this point of time cannot stand at the verge of being seen as favorable to any particular religion, right? Now, to prohibit, second objective was to prohibit conversion of any place of worship, and your third point was to curb communal tension. Now, we all know what happened in Ayodhya back in 1990s, so its basic aim was to curb communal tension. No bloodshed should keep on continuing. Now, major provisions, what of the act said? It bars conversion को बार कर देता है, whether it is in full part of a place or of any religious denomination into a place of different religious denomination, even if earlier it was the part of same religious denomination. ठीक है, so any sort of conversions it bans. Now section 4.41 it declares that religious character of place of worship shall continue to be the same as on 15th August 1947. So दूसरा objective major दूसरा provision ये है. Then section 4.2 of this act says any suit or legal proceeding with respect to conversion of religious character of any place of worship existing on August 15, 1947 pending before any court which includes Supreme Court as well shall abate and no fresh suit or legal proceedings shall be instituted. ठीक है, so only this applied to your Ram Janmabhoomi case. Section 5 says act shall not apply to Ram Janmabhoomi Babri Masjid case because a lot of sentiments were involved at that particular point of time. Appeal or proceeding in that case were entertained and will be entertained. Now section 6 says it prescribes a punishment of maximum 3 years of imprisonment. ठीक है, 3 साल की जेल हो सकती है along with fine while seen if any sort of conversion is taking place. What Supreme Court said on this particular point was in 2019 Ayodhya verdict, Supreme Court held that act manifests secular value of the constitution. Supreme Court did not see it as infringing upon your religious rights, also your human rights. ठीक है, also it provides confidence to every religious community that their places of worships are preserved and any sort of interference or hampering is not done there. Now law also addresses itself to state as much as to every citizen, right? Now affairs of the state are the affairs of the state and they are not to be intervened with the religion. Now through the state enforced constitutional commitment and operationalized its constitutional obligations to uphold equality of religious and secularism were, which is a part of basic structure doctrine of the constitution, were upheld. So SC की नज़र में, Supreme Court की नज़र में, whatever verdict was given at that particular point of time, it was fair and square. Also the verdict that was given in the case of Ram Janmabhoomi case, उसके ऊपर भी any sort of question at that particular point of time were nullified. ठीक है, so this was the whole process that has been going on. Now it also has had a certain impact on your fundamental duties under Article 51A. So this actually mandates to every citizen as well that you have to follow peaceful practices, and in agreeing to examine this particular law, Supreme Court has opened doors for litigation in various places of worship across the country. So it just does not still stick to Ram Janmabhoomi case, but as I already told you, Sabrimala case, Haji Ali Dargah case, also from north to south there are n number of places जहाँ पे ये debate start हो गई है. For example, अभी ज्ञानवापी जो ज्ञानवापी mosque का issue चल रहा था. Also there has been a couple of places in South India which are strictly women temples, वहाँ पे issue निकल के आ रहा है. So that whole debate has started and let's see how the process will evolve. There are certain articles which particularly pertain to your freedom of religion. I hope you have read them in Polity, you have read them from Lakshmikant. Please tell me which are the articles which particularly are restricted to your religious freedom of religion domain. Any answers? 25 to 28. Okay. Kanu Mahajan, 25 to 28. Okay. Freedom of religion is 25 to 28. Okay. Okay, fair enough. I hope this topic is clear. So Places of Worship Act अभी काफी ज़्यादा news में रहेगा because continuously evolution चल रहा है इस वाले topic में. Let's hope that it does not result into any sort of communal resistance or communal rift. Right? अब आते हैं अपने second topic पे. Now second topic है आपका surgeries on intersex infants. ये पूरा इशू निकल के आया कहाँ से है? दिल्ली हाई कोर्ट हैज ग्रांटेड दिल्ली गवर्नमेंट अराउंड अबाउट 8 weeks, 8 weeks एज एन ऑलमोस्ट 2.5-2 months दिए हैं उनको, to arrive at a decision that they have to set a certain set of rules for sex selective surgeries on intersex babies and children, except where there is a life threatening situation. Right now the problem is, first we have to understand what intersex babies are. So basically जो हमारा domain रहता है for classifying any person into any sex is either the person is male or the person is female. But there are certain children which when born are born with the genitalia of both male and females, ठीक है, both men and women, and at that particular point of time it is seen as anomaly, and because the child is unable to take decision for themselves out of ignorance, out of shame, out of inacceptance, parents a lot many times under the pressure of doctors, see there's a whole nexus acting up because doctors know how much of this is a hush-hush topic in India, so they sort of brainwash parents into it. Sometimes the parents willingly do it, that they make it possible that their infant child undergoes intersex surgery so that they can fit into a particular domain of either male or female. But the problem is, at that particular point of time the child is unable to make a decision for himself, herself, itself, right? Also the issue that rises is because most of these surgeries are done in a parallel healthcare system which is not legalized, also it is done in the dark places, so at many places the surgeries they cause more damage than benefits, and sometimes they prove fatal, so it has life altering repercussions, and Delhi Commissions on Child Right Protection has been pushing it from a very long time that this whole practice should be regulated. एक बार फटाफट से timeline देख लेते हैं how this thing has evolved. I've told you the broader idea. Now background, as I told you, there was a petition filed by NGO, there is a non-governmental organization, Srishti Madurai Education Trust, and they have appealed for an order which has directed Delhi government to implement recommendations that have been issued by Delhi Commission for the Protection of Child Rights. ठीक है, so this Child Protection Rights Commission has been pushing it, that I've already told you. Now this petition has also appealed for a writ or order of declaring a ban of medically unnecessary. Getting my point? It is done out of shame and taboo. It's not medically necessary to get it done. Also, the infant is not in the right headspace to finally decide whether they want this surgery to be done or not. So, medically unnecessary sex selective surgeries on intersex infants and children. Also, the second part of it is a writ or a order to direct Delhi government to frame a detailed policy or guidelines specifying the conditions when the intersex surgeries on infants can be performed, and courts and this Child Right Protection Commission has been pushing it that it should be allowed only when there is a life threatening, life altering situation. Other than that, they should not intervene in these matters. Now, as I already told you, term intersex, it refers to people who are born with both male and female sex characteristics. Sometimes it stays with them, sometimes it because it is a natural process, sometimes they themselves evolve into the sex that they more associate with. So basic उनको freedom of their body, freedom of right to profession, वो चीज यहाँ पे नहीं मिल पाती है. That is coming out to be the major issue here, right? Now, if you see, ये United Nation का एक डेटा है. Now, up to 1.7% of the babies who are born with sex characteristics that don't fit typical definitions of your male and female. ठीक है? and this makes babies that much, intersex babies that much common as they as are redheads, people born with red hair. They are rare, but they are still there. So you cannot completely say this is unnatural and make them undergo knife just because that makes you uncomfortable. Now in January 2021, what happened, this Delhi Commission on child rights protection, they made this recommendation to Delhi government after receiving a plea which stated that in many instances intersex people are treated as disabled, right? Their bodily anomaly is a wrong word to use, but whatever thing they are born with, whatever uh, proper sculpting the nature has given them, that is being termed as disabled, whereas no such scientific proof has been given. Now this usually is approached through a medical lens, right? We see it in the form of surgeries and how it can be eliminated or how it can be normalized in the more acceptable terms, which reduces them to impairment, and ultimately this leads them to medical interventions which can cause long term impairments, and in some cases if the infection is very severe or there is excessive bleeding, this ultimately leads to infant deaths. Now these surgeries are mostly conducted without prior and fully informed consent. Most of the parents who ask the doctors to do these surgeries, even they are not fully aware of the repercussions it might have. Also, once if there is some sort of problem, they cannot even report it to the authorities because it was illegal in the first place. Now the commission has advised that health department should include people who are intersex or who are from a similar marginalized background, be it third gender, be it from LGBTQ community, anyone, ठीक है? तो ये एक proper recommendation निकल के आई है which will form a part of committee to look into the matter. Also commission ने क्या बोला है, it has sought responses from Delhi Medical Council, the Delhi Department of Health and Family Welfare, right, and various organization and experts before the recommendations they come out in public. Delhi Medical Council had stated that difference of sex development, intersex are human rights issues and they pertain to bodily integrity and autonomy. तो आप बिना किसी की राइट टू बॉडी इंटेग्रिटी एंड ऑटोनॉमी को हैम्पर नहीं कर सकते हो. Now surgical interventions and gender related medical interventions, they should be delayed until patient जो है that can decide it for themselves what they actually want. Also they are in a place to make a well informed, well balanced choice regarding the same. Now Srishti Madurai Foundation जो है, what they did, they also referred to the Madras High Court's 2019 order where Madras High Court had directed Tamil Nadu government to ban sex reassignment surgeries on the same lines. तो ये वाला टॉपिक अभी थोड़ा सा बर्निंग चल रहा है. लेट्स सी हाउ इट विल इवॉल्व, what recommendations they come after 8 weeks. But your whole LGBTQ thing, and there are certain subtopics that are related to it, they are continuously coming in limelight. Earlier we didn't used to talk about them a lot, but now there has been an open debate going on, and this shows how much our society has evolved, including the civil groups, etc, etc. It all started with Nalsa and now things are on a very right track. So let's see क्या recommendations आती हैं and what benefit the infants can get through it. Right, now let's discuss हमारा आज का last and third topic. So there has been a Family Courts Amendment Bill 2002. This was in news because Lok Sabha has finally passed it. Now why was the need to pass this bill? Need was there because there are around 11.49 lakh. So there was a whole debate that was conducted around this, and during the debate there is the minister Mr. Kiran Rijiju. He gave this data that 11.49 lakh cases they were pending in around about 715 family courts across 26 states and union territories in the beginning of May 2022. सो अगर आप देखो इतने सारे केसेस आर पेंडिंग एंड पीपल आर वेटिंग फॉर अ प्रॉपर रिव्यू, उसके लिए, उसको फास्ट ट्रैक करने के लिए द बिल हैज बीन अमेंडेड. थोड़ा सा बैकग्राउंड देख लेते हैं. सो फैमिली कोर्ट्स दे वर एस्टैब्लिश्ड फर्स्ट इन यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स. इंडिया में द फर्स्ट कंसेप्ट ऑफ फैमिली कोर्ट्स केम ऑन 14 सितंबर 1984. नाउ जो फैमिली कोर्ट्स होते हैं दे बेसिकली कम अंडर द सबॉर्डिनेशन ऑफ हाई कोर्ट्स ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर स्टेट. ठीक है, तो वहां से सीधे डायरेक्टिव्स मिलेंगे. ऑल्सो इट इज गोइंग टू हेल्प a lot in clearing the amount of pending cases that have been piling up and judiciary को थोड़ा सा relief मिलेगा. Also the people will be able to take the maximum benefit out of it. Now background अगर आप देखो तो this was introduced in Lok Sabha on July 18th 2022 and it ultimately amends your Family Courts Act 1984 जो मैंने आपको बता दिया है. Now state governments they'll be allowed to establish family courts. सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट नोटिफाई करेगी डेट्स फॉर द एक्ट टू कम इनटू फोर्स इन डिफरेंट स्टेट्स. ऑल्दो हिमाचल एंड नागालैंड में ऑलरेडी इन फोर्स है. द गवर्नमेंट्स ऑफ हिमाचल प्रदेश एंड नागालैंड हैव सेट अप फैमिली कोर्ट्स इन देयर स्टेट्स अंडर दिस एक्ट ऑलरेडी. अंडर दिस एक्ट नहीं है, दे हैव एस्टैब्लिश्ड कोर्ट्स ऑलरेडी, but now these might come under the enforcement of this act. Now central government has not extended the application of act to these states, but it is seen as a positive sign for these states as well as the states जहाँ पे judicial burden बहुत ज़्यादा है. Considering details क्या है, the bill seeks to extend application of act to हिमाचल प्रदेश. एंड ये इफेक्ट में कब से आएगी, जब से हिमाचल स्टेट गवर्नमेंट इसको लेके आई है तब से 2019 से लेके जितने भी केसेस हैं दैट विल बी इंक्लूडेड अंडर दिस पर्टिकुलर एक्ट फ्रॉम रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव. सो 15 फरवरी 2019 से हिमाचल के ऊपर अप्लाई हो जाएगा एंड नागालैंड में दिस विल बी अप्लाइड फ्रॉम 12 सितंबर 2008. नाउ अगर हम बात करें एस्टैब्लिशमेंट ऑफ फैमिली कोर्ट्स इन बोथ द स्टेट्स विल बी रेट्रोस्पेक्टिवली वैलिड फ्रॉम दीज स्टेट्स. Now all the actions that have been taken under the act in both the states which includes appointment of judges and other judgments which are being passed by the family courts will also be deemed to be valid from that particular point of time. See, बहुत सारे cases ऐसे रहे हैं family courts में where family courts ने decision दे दिया and because they came under high courts तो इसकी further appeal गई है supreme court तक. बट बिकॉज सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के अंडर ये रेगुलेशन नहीं था तो देयर वॉज ए डिलेमा, ये चीज कहाँ लाई करती है. बट नाउ सिंस दैट सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ने ये पास कर दिया है सो वो जितने भी डिसीजंस हैं रेट्रोस्पेक्टिवली जो पिटीशंस फर्दर फाइल करी गई हैं सुप्रीम कोर्ट में दे गेट नलिफाइड एंड दीज गेट वैलिडेटेड. तो इसका होल पॉइंट ये था. ऑल्सो एन नंबर ऑफ स्टेट्स कैन कम अप विद देयर more such acts of family courts जिससे कि जुडिशरी के ऊपर burden reduce होगा. I hope all three topics that we have covered ये आपको clear है. If you have any doubts you can mention them in comments. I'll try taking them up in your next class. I hope you're preparing well. Keep the grind on, right? Exam, it's a long journey. Baby steps each day and together we'll reach the destination. तब तक के लिए stay tuned and keep learning, keep watching. Thank you so much. Bye bye.